It's a pleasure to be having all of you here for Cure Health's webinar on quality accreditation and beyond, Winds of Change. This is our fifth webinar, and session 2 of this webinar is going to be presented today. We already had one session last Friday where we had illustrious speakers talk about the same topic. Today, we are going to get deep inside the subject with respect to various specifics and various other things which you may not be aware of, which you can implement in your healthcare setting. So without any further ado, let me welcome all the speakers and let me introduce them one by one. First up, we have Dr. B.K. Rana. He is the CEO of Quality and Accreditation Institute. He's also the board member of ISQA and ASQA, the International Society for Quality and the Asian Society for Quality. He was a former director and CEO in charge of NABH, Quality Council of India. He was the former chairman of the ISQA Accreditation Council as well. He was a former president of Asian Society of Quality in Healthcare. He's elected founding member of the International Academy of Quality and Safety. He's appointed ISQA expert and ISQA surveyor. He's an international consultant expert of the World Health Organization, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, the UNFCCC, and the USAID. He's a chief advisor for the Academy of Medical Laboratory Auditors and Foundation for Quality India. He's an expert in establishing healthcare accreditation body and laboratory accreditation body as per the international requirements. He's an expert in standard development on quality, patient safety, and accreditation. He holds a PhD in biochemistry and diploma in German. He's a postgraduate diploma in hospital and health management. He's published 11 research papers in international journals with higher impact ratio, and he has contributed chapters in several books and presented in several national and international conferences. Amongst us, he's one of the busiest webinar person. He's doing a lot of training in the field of quality, and we are very happy to have you, sir. Over to you for your opening comments, sir. Dr. Rana, you can unmute yourself and give your opening comments.
Thank you very much, Raj, for your kind introduction and kind words. Thank you very much, my co-panelists. I'm really pleased to be amongst the, so much of dignitaries around from different fields, different part of the country. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen who are attending this webinar. I think it's really a great pleasure for me to be here today in this afternoon and talking about wings of change. It's about, what need to be changed at the moment in a difficult time of COVID-19, but the most important thing, how we are going to survive after this, or how we are going to change ourselves to make it a more sustainable, more reliable, more compact in terms of our lives and the care which we are providing to our patients through different healthcare providers. So I think it's a very timely discussion which we are having since last 2 weeks, and this is the second panel on today, and it's really heartening to know that so many people get interested in topics like what we are going to talk about today. So I'm really thankful for giving me this great opportunity to be amongst the great panelists and of course the most important people who are attending this webinar to listen to us. So thank you very much. Over to you,
Raj. Thanks, Doc. Okay. Yeah, next up we have Dr. Alexander Verghese. He's a hospital director of New Mowassat Hospital, Kuwait. My colleague and my friend and a mentor as well for a long time, about close to 20 years. He's an American board certified healthcare management professional. He's a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executive with over 17 plus years of wide ranging experience in managing hospital operations, projects, hospital planning, commissioning, strategic planning, hospital quality systems management and consulting as well. He was earlier the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director at Siloam Hospitals, Medan, Indonesia. He was also the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Consultant of Siloam Hospitals, Jambi, Indonesia before. He was briefly with Gleneagles Koop Chandani Hospital in Mumbai unit of Parkway Health, Singapore, as Chief Quality Management and Medical Affairs Head. He was earlier quality. He was part of Quality Conclave LLC, a healthcare management consultancy firm established in Dubai Healthcare City. He was a founding member and head of operations. Together with him, we traveled many places. I've gone with them to Seychelles to do audit with the Victoria Hospital, which is very memorable experience for me. He was also the Deputy Director Administration and Quality for Zuleika Healthcare Group, Dubai and Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. He has developed good operational, clinical, administrative planning and quality related practices at Asian Heart Institute, a 250-bed quaternary care cardiac institute in Mumbai, India. He was part of the commissioning of Apollo Hospitals, Ahmedabad, India, which is a 400-bed super specialty hospital, and its satellite units in Ahmedabad and various other regions around. Thank you, Dr. Alex. It's a pleasure to have you. Over to you for your opening comments.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure and privilege to be around with such, a strong gathering of professionals who are here today with us. And also, good afternoon to the members who have logged in for the session as of today. I had a couple of points that I thought I should enlist. Quality in healthcare has been in existence not for very long. It's probably around 20 years, 2 decades. Quality has been in production and manufacturing for over 100 years. But in healthcare per se, to say accreditation, standardization came way back in the 1950s and 60s in the US, and then subsequently has moved on. And right now, across the world, you've got every country has its own standards or measurable elements, and some are benchmarking it with international standards as well. Just to show or talk about some history around this, the Institute of Medicine in the US published a report in 1999 and subsequently in 2001, which spoke about the report was called "To Err is Human," which basically spoke about the injuries caused to patients, the lapses that are happening within the system, and medication and medical errors that are causing major problems within the hospital system. So that, I think, sparked off accreditation standards in a big way than it has done ever before. And in the last 20 years, I don't need to explain. All of us know the amount of efforts and amount of work that is done by most, if not all countries. India has done a lot of work. Likewise, even globally, there has been a lot of push towards awareness, towards accessibility, towards medication safety, patient safety goals. I mean, we can go on enlisting a lot of things that have been done. I also believe that there's still a huge gap in the understanding of clinical stuff as far as quality is concerned. And if that needs to be taken care of, I think it needs to go into being in the part of their educational system. If it's part of being a graduate in medicine or graduate in nursing, if you've got a subject or a term where you spend 6 months to a year on understanding how quality is measured, how your outcomes are measured, how data is analyzed, it would go a long way in improving the understanding of the general population and specifically the clinical population that we're talking about. The third point, with COVID, everything has moved faster, but in general, there's a huge change that has been coming over the last 3 to 5 years. Digitization, artificial intelligence. We've got a lot of things that are happening, and I think organizations have a lot of work to do, healthcare organizations specifically. And in general, to sum up, there's only one way: learn. I mean, whatever you've learned, you probably have to unlearn and then relearn everything again, and in the process keep changing all the time and dynamically changing all the time. With that, I submit. Thanks, Raj. That's all I had to say.
Thanks, Dr. Alex, for that detailed note. It's indeed scintillating to know how healthcare quality came into the being the way it is currently. Next up, we have Ms. Mandakini Pawar. Yeah, she's currently the head of Healthcare Excellence, CII Institute of Quality. She's been leading this Healthcare Excellence based on Baldrige Excellence Framework at CII Institute of Quality for quite some time. She's worked as a CEO and director of various healthcare organizations and has behind her 30 years of rich, illustrious healthcare experience. She's been awarded as Women of Substance by BRICS Chamber of Commerce. She's also the CII Excellence Award Assessor for Healthcare, Business and HR based on Baldrige Framework and also the EFQM model, respectively. She's a principal faculty for SSR and implementation training based on Baldrige Excellence Framework. She's been nominated by the CII as a founder member of the on the QCI board as part of the NABH, and represents CII as a principal member of Bureau of Indian Standards, Health, Fitness and Sports Committee. She's a member of various international and national societies and published numerous papers in national and international journals and also presented them in conferences. She's a certified clinical trainer, hospital-acquired infections and patient safety. She's authored a chapter in a JCI book, which she would be telling us more about during a talk maybe. She's completed various assessments for manufacturing, service and healthcare. Over to you, Madam Mandakini, for your opening comments.
Thank you, Raj, for your lovely introduction. And good afternoon, everyone, to the panelists and to all the delegates who are there and attending this session. The topic which we have selected today, that is the beyond the quality and accreditation, is need of the hour. Because we really need to look beyond it, and especially in terms of the healthcare excellence. So the truly excellent healthcare organizations are measured by their ability to achieve and as well as sustain the outstanding results for all your stakeholders. And that is what is the need of the hour. But to achieve these outstanding results is not only hard enough, but also to sustain them is definitely harder. And especially in the world of increasing global competition, the rapid technological innovation, ever-changing working processes, and frequent movement in the economic, social, and customer environment is even harder. And some of the most important manifestations of these worldwide phenomena are being increasingly experienced in the term of need for creativity and innovation, as well as the sustainability, the inclusiveness, the corporate governance, and healthcare organizational agility, and etc. So thank you so much for inviting us, and look forward to have more learning and sharing, because we have all the eminent panelists, and I'm very sure they all experienced healthcare professionals, and I'm sure something will definitely come out and to have this healthcare excellence in the course of our journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mandakini Madam. Next up, we have a very young and eminent panelist with us who has made a lot of strides in quality. We welcome you, Dr. Uma Shankar Raj. So he is Senior Manager for Quality and Strategic Initiatives at Ramaiah Memorial Hospital. He's also the Karnataka State Representative for KAHO organization. He's a dynamic professional with over a decade of rich experience in handling hospital quality management and operations management activities, with focus on Lean, Six Sigma, and more process mapping and implementation with tangential and non-tangential benefits. He's a fellow of the ISQA. He's also the individual member with ISQA and also the lifetime member with QCI. He's a lifetime associate member with the Research Foundation of Hospital and Healthcare Administration with All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He's an associate member of KAHO, the Certified Professional for Quality Implementation in Hospitals by KAHO. He's also been certified as an internal auditor for ISO 15189 2007, 2012, and NABL 112. He has several laurels to his name, some of which are he secured 5S Excellence Award 2015 among Apollo Hospital Central Region. He got NABH Nursing Excellence in one of his organizations within a record time span of 3 months. He won the AHP Award in 2017 and 2020 for quality and quality beyond accreditation, which is the topic that we are discussing today. He's been spearheading the quality initiatives, quality and the strategic initiatives at MS Ramaiah Memorial Hospital, which he would be detailing during his presentation today. He successfully driven the quality initiatives at Apollo Hospitals, Bangalore and Mysore before. Over to you, Dr. Umashankar, for your opening comments.
Special thanks to Raj for inviting me here and giving me an opportunity to be a part of the elite member of panelists. A happy noon and a warm welcome to all the panelists. Most of them feel that quality is a cost center. I'm going to deliberate on the return on investment of quality, the amount you spend on quality. There is always a return on investment. So my topic would be on that. Happy learning to all of them. Over to you, Raj.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Dr. Umashankar. We now have an even younger quality professional with us. At a young age, he is now a professor with NITE School of Management, Bangalore, and registered consultant with NBQP, QCI, Government of India. And he's a healthcare quality trainer at Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, and he's been a growth consultant with Cure Health India. So Mr. Rahul Rao is a passionate healthcare management consultant and academician with a strong proven track record of handholding hospitals for NABH accreditation and certification programs. He's currently registered consultant, as I earlier say, and he has been leading successful completion of real-time NABH accreditation certification programs for for the Accreditation Board of Hospitals and Healthcare Provider Surveys. Especially the pre-assessment, final assessment, surveillance, re-accreditation, and even surprise audits. He will tell how he is managing the surprise audits, I guess, during his presentation. NABH, NABL, and NABH, BB, and also the award processing at various hospitals he's been part of. His strength lies in formulating quality process, operational excellence, and patient safety measures, and he's been contributing and enhancing the clinical excellence through team building, quality structure in various hospitals, and also the clinical side of things and operational excellence with respect to scorecard, a balanced scorecard, analysis of quality metrics on regular basis, and linkage of operation with quality accreditation norms. He's got an interesting slide on that coming up. He's also headed the operations and quality in hospitals like Apollo, Yenapoya Specialty Hospital, Bangalore, and Chinmaya Mission Hospital, Bangalore. He is also a faculty of Hospital Administration course of Ministry of MSME and Board of Studies member for many universities for MBA Hospital Management course. He is also training the healthcare professionals throughout India on healthcare quality programs as a corporate trainer for Dr. Reddy's Foundation for Healthcare Education and Research. He is currently working with the various small and large size hospitals across India for implementing the best healthcare practices as a registered consultant. He's also helping us digitize various hospitals, and we're very happy for that, Professor Rahul. We're good to have you here. Over to you for your opening comments.
Thank you, Raj, for this wonderful introduction, and it is a great privilege to be among this gathering of distinguished speakers. The topic, especially which you have selected, I find it very much attracting, and I'm looking forward to hear from all the panelists. So I had been thinking about the activities of ISQA, Quality and Accreditation Institute. So would come to know about it, and then CII Malcolm Baldrige framework. So I don't have much knowledge regarding that. So I'm just looking forward to hear from Mandakini Madam, and Madam has been just like a mentor to me. So it would be indeed a great, and then the learning of Middle East, which Dr. Alexander would be taking us through. So indeed, it would be a very good session, and I'm looking forward. And Rama Madam had been very active from past few years. And when I started consulting, she had been my mentor from beginning. She has helped me for many projects. And it would be indeed a great pleasure now to listen to Madam, and she has been very active in the quality circles and initiating a lot of quality activities. So looking forward to hear Madam also on Winds of Change, which is coming in the healthcare quality scenario. So thank you, Raj, and looking forward to hear from all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Rahul. Next up, we have a very dynamic lady who has been with the industry for quite a long time, about 25 plus years in healthcare consult, 30 years old management consulting. She's Executive Director of Value Added Corporate Services Private Limited, Chennai, the president of Consultants Consortium of Chennai. There are numerous other things which she is associated with, but we don't have enough space the slide could hold for that. Name that resonates between Kashmir to Kanyakumari. She's had 27 years of consulting experience and worked across various industries, just not the hospitals, with respect to medical devices, with respect to various other industries, even manufacturing industries and various other places. She holds a degree in commerce and has got been a member of TiE Chennai, and she has been mentoring a lot of startups. She heads Entrepreneurship Development Center and Quality Subcommittee at Andhra Chamber of Commerce. Her passion is working for Make in India initiatives, and she represents the Association of Indian Medical Device Industry as South India's joint coordinator. Earlier, we had Rajiv Nath sir speaking in our previous session. So she would carry the baton from him in her closing comments today when she talks about beyond accreditation. What lies beyond has a winds of change. She's president of the Consultants Consortium of Chennai, an association of management system consultants. I'm happy to be a part of a seedling in that movement as well. She's a committee member and advisory board in Medical Fair India, part of Medical Alliance Germany. A lot of German flavor today. She contributes to CII Tamil Nadu Healthcare initiatives jointly with Star Health Insurance in Tamil Nadu. She's considering a long stint in healthcare consulting. She has won the Best Women Healthcare Entrepreneur Award from IMA Goa in the year 2017. Very happy to have you here, madam. Over to you for your opening comments.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Raj, for the nice introduction, and thank you for Cure Health for this engagement and initiative to connect all the stakeholders, all of us. We do have very good panelists today, and there's a lot of intellectual capital in this forum today. I'm sure the delegates and the participants are going to be the real beneficiaries. The topic that was given to me is something closer to my heart, Raj. This is something that I have been discussing in all the forums, and I was also waiting for the winds of change. As Dr. Alexander mentioned, the winds of change is what we could feel and we could see in the last few years. And when the wind blows, what happens? I will just run it across later. Been into the space, into management systems consulting for the last 20 plus years, having worked across the sectors. The challenges that we see in healthcare are not just in healthcare alone. These are the same challenges and the same battles that all domains and all sectors are facing. Somewhere, many things got lost in the process, and the quality got mixed up with certifications and accreditations, and it was a tough battle and a challenge for all of us to de-link and disconnect. And unfortunately, we couldn't succeed, and we couldn't make it happen. And things are going to be a little more different, and good, bad, or ugly, thanks to COVID. And the system had a lot of weaknesses and a lot of limitations and a lot of challenges. And it took a COVID to really bring out all the gaps and showcase, or pull out the weaknesses in the system. And I guess the industry and the ecosystem and the stakeholders are going to make a fresh beginning. And it is something like unlearning and then relearning and starting afresh. Maybe this is what we are going to see as a winds of change, and I will touch upon several points when my session opens up. Thank you so much once again, and it's a pleasure to be part of this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thanks for that insights. Next up, it's yours truly. So I would like to talk about Cure Health India before we start the presentations. So Cure Health India is a division of Global Mantra Innovations. Global Mantra Innovations is a research and innovation center for Ventec Solutions USA. So we are looking to empower healthcare ecosystem to generate value through the data. So to save lives, super proactive is what we are looking at. So we are a $150 million company. We deal with the federal health and defense health, and we are one of the largest contractors for the government of US, the federal health, for storing the data and supporting them with the infrastructure and stuff. in our own data center. And in that, we hold about 43 petabytes of healthcare data, making it one of the largest data hub center for healthcare. We manage around 8,000 providers, 800,000 providers in the US, which also includes about 800 dialysis centers. We have a strong leadership team spread in the US and in India. We are headquarters at Columbus, Ohio. We have various other headquarters. We have a Silicon Valley headquarter in Delaware. We have a federal headquarters of ours just outside Washington and stuff. We have a team of biostatisticians, data analytics, NLP, natural language processing people, deep neural network people, AI and machine learning people. We have a scalable multi-layer architectural platform, which makes it very easy for organizations to adopt to our offerings. Through Cure Health, we are trying to help hospitals digitalize their health records. In many of the hospitals, we know the health records are still in the paper form. So we are not a EMR company, we are an EHR, a mini EHR, I could say. So we digitalize the health records, working alongside with the medical records team. We provide with the software, and that digitalized health records are stored on the cloud, which is easy for the doctors to retrieve. They don't have to wait for the records, the medical records file to arrive at their consultation suite. So, and also for the patient, the benefit is that through MyFHB, which is an application which you can download via Android and shortly in the iOS as well, you would be able to get all your health records from those hospitals in your app. So that's the thing that we're doing. It is aligned with the National Digital Health Blueprint, which we are eagerly waiting for it to become a gazetted and notification. And it is in lines with, again, the National Health Stack program. So we would like to support that program as a private entity, aligned with the future, aligned with the real world examples and real world data, which is going to be the key. And most of the COVID related treatments are based on RWE and RWD. You would all hear more about it in the coming sessions. Over to you, Dr. Rana, for starting the presentation.
Thank you very much, Raj, for again giving me this opportunity to present. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, once again, and let me take you around the world first, and then come back to the Asia region, and then finally landed to India, and see what's going on around the world. And topic of this session is quality accreditation and beyond, with some changes, is very critical. I would use the word critical because at times we really don't understand what quality is all about. Everyone actually talks about quality, but in real perspective, I believe and I feel as well that it's not practiced in perspective. So Raj, can I take the control, or how are you gonna do that?
In the control dock, you can move the slides.
I can. Okay. No, it's not. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, it's moving quickly sometime. Okay. So where it is? Yeah. So my presentation is now is as follows. I'm going to talk about a bit on ISQA, then ESQA, then QAI, and then a couple of accredited organizations and some of the concepts on education and skill development. It's not moving, Raj. I think
it has come, Doc. We are seeing the slides.
Okay, but it's not changing in my screen. Okay. So ISQA is, many of you would be knowing about ISQA. It is International Society for Quality in Healthcare, based in Dublin in Ireland. And ISQA's vision is to be the leader of transformation in health and healthcare worldwide. And this vision we would like to meet through the mission to inspire and drive improvement in health and safety and quality of healthcare worldwide. The action which we set for ourselves is join us to improve your knowledge, build your network, and make your voice heard. So knowledge, network, and voice is the mantra of ISQA. And I have been associated with ISQA for last many years, if I remember correctly, since 2006, when I joined ISQA Accreditation Council. And then journey has been quite fruitful and productive in terms of learning and sharing. And so ISQA has different activities going on around the year in different part of the world. ISQA has a community of practice. Currently, there are 4 community of practice active: Latin America and Caribbean, Africa, person-centered care, Southeast Asia. So the community of practice is actually the group of professionals in healthcare, quality, accreditation, and even clinical aspects, and even the managerial professionals in healthcare. So they come together and talk on different topics from time to time to disseminate, learn, and sharing mode. ISQA has a membership program. Any individual can join as a member, and as well as an institution can join as a member. And membership gives a lot of opportunities to the members through their global network. Because this network of global members gives you a lot of opportunity in terms of not only sharing what you're doing, but also to learn from what others are doing. ISQA also run a very specific program called ISQA Education, and setting the benchmarks for healthcare quality and safety education. And I just read through the CV of one of my co-panelists that he has been through one of the ISQA fellowship program, which is one of the a flagship program of ISQA. In the fellowship program, anyone can enroll and can choose a topic of his or her choice, and then according to the specialty, a mentor would be allocated out of global experts available with ISQA, and then the journey of the fellows start. And it's a lot of exciting time for ISQA fellow coming up from different part of the world when they learn newer things and then come back to their own institutions and organizations to implement those changes. It's taking time to move to the next slide.
Okay, you can say next. Maybe I will be able to move it as well.
Yeah, next please. I think that would be quicker.
Yeah, we're on the next slide.
Yes, so ISQA also run an annual event called ISQA Conference, and which is usually attended by over 800 people on an average, and represented by over 70 countries from world over. And this year it was to be held in Florence in Italy, but because of COVID-19, it has been shifted to next year in July. So that by that time we expect that normalcy to return and people can attend this conference. Already hundreds of people have already registered for this conference, and you can get the details from the ISQA website. Another aspect of ISQA is to have ISQA experts. These ISQA experts, a pool of global experts, not only in healthcare quality and accreditation, but in education, in management, clinical, and so many other aspects. And they are selected based on their background, expertise, and then they are utilized for their expertise in different conferences, for the fellowship program, for education program. So I think it's a very exciting group of people. And the most importantly, ISQA also has a program called ISQA External Evaluation Association. This is an extended arm of ISQA, which runs international accreditation program. And the international accreditation programs has 3 products: the accreditation of standards, surveyor or assessor training, and organizational accreditation. And I'm sure that you would be familiar with ISQA IAP, because in India now there are 3 organizations which are part of ISQA International Accreditation Program. We were the first, in NABH in 2008 when the standards were approved by ISQA. Then a National Health System Resource Center came, and then the QAI lately came into. So this international accreditation program brings accreditation organizations from around the world. The members of the IAP include NABH, QAI, NHRC from India, and then JCI, Australian, Canadian, from most of the advanced and Asian countries, as well as European and American countries participating in the international accreditation program. The uniqueness of this program is that it sets the equivalence and acceptance of the products and the services which accreditation organization offers. It gives an international approval of your standards, your trainings, your processes as an accreditation body, and through which the accredited organizations get the leverage on. So any organization accredited through this process of IAP is considered as operating our international standards. So this is about ISQA. ISQA exists for last 35 years. Initially started from Melbourne in Australia, then moved 10 years ago to Dublin in Ireland, and ISQA External Evaluation Association, IEEA, operates from Geneva in Switzerland. Next, please. Now from ISQA, from a global perspective, I bring down to Asian Society for Quality in Healthcare, which was actually informally set up in 2006 and 7 during one of the ISQA conference in London, and I'm happy to say that I was part of that founder delegation who discussed with ISQA to set up Asian Society for Quality in Healthcare. It has a vision to be credible regional organization of repute to bring together best practices in patient safety and quality culture that can be benchmarked internationally, with a mission to encourage, support, advocate, educate, and share best practices in patient safety and quality practices, utilizing Asian values of mutual respect and sharing of achieved excellence. So this the purpose of setting ISQA was to bring international experience and knowledge to Asian region, because it was realized that it's very difficult for many people and organizations from Asian countries to be involved and participate in international society ISQA activities and conferences because of cost, travel, and all those things. So we get an arrangement with ISQA that ISQA would give those benefits to ESQA member what actually as ISQA members get directly. So this mechanism brought a lot of knowledge base to Asian countries, the people which are part of the member of ESQA to learn from international experience. For last couple of years, it has been running very successfully. As a national members now, if you can look at this slide, the Taiwan, Malaysia, Thailand, Mongolia, Korea, Australia, India, Japan, Philippines, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. So these are the national members on the board of directors at the moment, with 2 institutional members of Association of Private Health Malaysia, APHM, and Australian General Practice Accreditation Limited, ACPAL from Australia, with 2 individual members, one from Malaysia, Professor Datu Dr. Ravindran, and myself from India as individual member. So this is the current structure of the board, but we have over 200 individual members and a couple of institutional members in addition to these national members. Next, please. So this is a small slide on journey of ESQA. As I mentioned, the informal discussion held in 2006 conference in London of ISQA, then in 2007 in Boston, and then we kick off the first conference of ESQA in 2008 with APHM in Malaysia, and then we at NABH in 2010 hosted a second conference of ESQA with FICCI and QCI and APHM and ESQA conference here in Delhi in 2010. And then it has moved up. If you look at this till to 2020, it was the first secretariat was in Malaysia for 2 years. Dr. Kula was the president, the founding president. And then I took as a president in 2011 from Dr. Kula and bring the secretariat to India. And then it moved back to Taiwan, and then to Japan, and now currently is secretariat in Taiwan. So it keeps moving depending on, and the president got elected from that specific country. So in a sense, ESQA offers a lot of opportunities for its members for like linking with ISQA activities. ESQA has a newsletter, your own training programs and webinars and seminars. So I think it's a good opportunity for individual members and institutions here in India and in the region to be part of ESCO to leverage on the knowledge and skills which we can build all together. Next, please. Now, I think there were a couple of other slides before that. No, maybe we move on. I can uncover it later, no problem. Yeah, just the QAI vision. Not this, Raj. Maybe go. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. No, go back, please. Yeah, thanks. So now from a ISQA international perspective and a little bit of on ISQA and then ESQA, and I come back to India, to my own organization, Quality and Accreditation Institute. QI started as an accreditation body in August 2017, now closed, almost completing 3 years today. A good day for today is complete 3 years. Tomorrow on August 1st, we are celebrating completing our 3 years. We set a very clear vision for ourselves to nurture the largest global pool of organizations and people through quality improvement and accreditation framework. And how we want to achieve our vision is through the mission to conceive and deliver education, training, accreditation, and related programs in partnership with the stakeholders using an approach of co-design and co-creation. So co-designing and co-creation is the key of our activities, which actually give us a lot of empowerment from different stakeholders. So we don't think what we only want to think, but we take others, people, individuals, and organizations together in building our programs. We set the values to run the program efficiently and effectively. We want to be good listener. We want to give a continuous get feedback from our stakeholder to address if there are any concerns. We want to be competitive. We would not look for viable options to benefit users of the services. We want to be transparent in our operations. We put our policies in public domain on a website. We want to be innovative. And I think COVID-19 has taught all of us to become innovative. If we were not, we want to continue evolve using co-design and co-creation so that we are at pace with the changing times. Next, please. This is the brief, on the organogram. What we have here, board of directors. We have an eminent panel of advisory board, Dr. Venkatesh, Dr. Gyani, on advisory board as a CEO. And then we have 4 verticals at the moment. We have Center for Education and Training, which is involved in providing different educational programs and training programs, not only related to our own accreditation programs, but other in general in aspects. We run Center for Accreditation of Health and Social Care, CHSC, which is involved in providing accreditation programs in healthcare. And Center for Laboratory Accreditation is the center for providing accreditation activities for testing and calibration and medical laboratories. And Center for Accreditation of Veterinary Facilities, CAVF, is involved in developing standards for veterinary hospitals and pet clinics. The current technical committee is working on drafting the standard. So Center for Health and Social Care is chaired by Professor M.C. Mishra, the former director of AIIMS New Delhi, and currently the president and vice chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi Medical University in Jaipur. Our CLA board is chaired by Professor Vikram Kumar, is a former director of National Physical Laboratory and currently the distinct scientist of DRDO. Next, please. Under CLA, CLA offers, as I mentioned, accreditation or certification programs using international standards ISO IEC 17025 for testing and calibration laboratories. We offer accreditation to medical laboratories as per ISO 15189. And we also have a very specific certification program called QAI, Certification of Basic Composite Medical Laboratories, QCBCML, which is entirely based on the requirements of for medical laboratories from Clinical Establishment Act. So this program is basically to push laboratories towards quality improvement and learning, because many laboratories in India, for example, that they are not even aware of quality processes, quality control materials, and how to ensure the results are in compliance to what they expect. So this program is actually to push those laboratories to learn some quality aspects and move forward more than what is required in a structural aspect for Clinical Establishment Act. We are happy to say that we are the member of Asia Pacific Accreditation Cooperation, which is the regional body, and this is a one step closer to signing APLAC and ILAC mutual recognition arrangements. Now, after that, so APAC means membership, associate membership means that we are a recognized accreditation body, but now we have to apply for our peer evaluation to achieve MRA status to become equivalent globally. Next, please.
5 more minutes to go, Dr. Rana.
Yeah, please, quickly. So we have a mix of laboratories accredited both in government and happy that we have accredited one laboratory called Ravi Testing Laboratories, which is the first in Southeast Asia as an OIE reference laboratory and 12th in the world. Next, please. And the CHEC we have developed over the last 3 years, we have developed 8 accreditation and certification programs. And I think this is the fastest development anywhere in the world. No accreditation body has developed these many standards in 3 years. We started with IVF accreditation standards, then home healthcare, dialysis centers, green healthcare facility. We have a hospital certification program. We run WHO patient safety friendly hospital certification program. We have primary care clinic, ambulatory care clinics. Now, currently, we are now launching a telemedicine and telehealth organization accreditation program of 15th of August. We have just finalized these standards. Next, please. So our home healthcare standards and next, please, is already covered in one of my slides. So we have achieved ISQA accreditation for our dialysis standards in last year. And this year in February, we have achieved ISQA accreditation for our home healthcare standards, making QI the first and only accreditation body in India having 2 sets of standards accredited by ISQA External Evaluation Association. It's a proud thing for all of us associated with QAI. Next, please. We publish a journal, QAI Journal for Healthcare Quality and Patient Safety, to disseminate the information related to quality and safety. If anybody interested, please feel free to log on and submit piece of paper, which you are doing a great work in your organizations. Next, please. These are the ways or means how we disseminate information. We are operating globally in different parts of the world: Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Maldives, Oman, Bahrain, Ghana, Nigeria. We have MOUs signed and working, providing either setting up their standards for accreditation or setting up accreditation organization, as well as delivering training programs in different topics. Next, please. These are a couple of our organizations which have been through the accreditation process. We have 4 home healthcare providers, top of the country: Home Healthcare at Home, Portia Medical, Max at Home, Guardian Angel, and we have dialysis centers accredited. We have IVF centers accredited. Next, please. So these are just these are the laboratories which we have accredited: Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology, 3 laboratories, Narayana Netralaya, Kanva Diagnostic, and Bangalore Genome. A couple of those which we have accredited for 17025 and 15189. Next, please. On the way, Indira IVF, the largest IVF centers in country, over 80 centers. They are our applicant. They have realized what the importance of accreditation quality in IVF is. Then we have a couple of others lined up. Next, please. So it's a journey. Like we keep talking about, different training modules, skill building. So we partner with different organizations. We partnered with Ortho Clinical Diagnostic, develop a Q school module for lab technicians from Tier 2 Tier 3 cities. We partnered with Orvis International to help and build the skill in eye hospitals, not only India, but Bangladesh and Nepal as well. Next, please. So we run a lot of educational and skill development programs. We run internal auditor training programs for different standards for accreditation, which we run: infection prevention and control, medication safety, continual quality improvement, clinical audit, a role of communication and patient safety, and patient and staff safety. So these are a couple of things which we try to run, help and support individuals and organization in their learning and skill building. Next, please. Some of the CSR activities we participate in, first International Patient Safety Day last year, September 17, 2019. We designated some patient safety champions. We also participate in environmental health and environmental resilience through different partners across the world. Next, please. Because environmental health is one of the critical aspects. This is our the gold seal, mark of sustained quality. So accredited organizations use this seal as a level for confidence building amongst their customers. Next, please. So this is my message for the people, as our tagline is change, adapt, improve. So everybody tries to improve, but how you will improve if you want change? So the first thing is you need to change if you want to improve, and then that's not only the change, but you need to practice those changes. You have to experience those changes. You have to adapt to those changes, and then if you change and adapt those changes, that will lead to improvement. So this cycle needs to be continuous. People think that if you do something today, it's whole good for every time. No, it's not. It's a cycle of change and adapt and improve. With this, I thank you for patience hearing, and thank you very much, Raj, giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Rana. It's indeed a very good insight on a parallel world. It indeed widened our horizons on the various offerings of ISQA, ASQA, and various other things you and your organization QAI is doing. Fellow panelists, would you like to add on something to that? You can unmute and speak. Dr. Alex, you can get ready for it.
I think I'm also a member of ISQA, and I'm also a fellow of ISQA. It's a great learning experience, and the modules are really good. I think everybody should try it. It's a really wonderful platform to go ahead.
Yes,
So what is the time period? Yeah, go ahead, Dr.
For ISQA fellowship is about a year. It's basically, if you sign up, you get a year, you choose your topic, and then you get an assigned mentor based on the topic which you select, and it can be from any part of the world, part of ISQA experts, and then you work with your mentor and take your journey forward. So it's like continuous learning and moving forward, and then every year you have to get into renewal mode by accumulating your credit points to maintain your competency and expertise in that specific area. So that's the important thing, continuous learning actually.
Yeah, and I also believe that they have a discount program for people of Indian origin. They have done a countrywide classification, and for various programs there are some discounts for individual members who do from India.
Yeah, great. I think the very important point, Raj. Yes, in 5 years ago there was no differentiation in the fee structure for anyone from the globe, but now we have been able to segregate. Now lower middle income countries, LMIC, as per World Bank definition, India falls into LMIC. So we get a very fair rates compared to European or US rates, both for individual members, both for institutional members, as well as for different educational and programs. So I think it's a great opportunity for us around to get the benefit of these type of schemes which are available to us internationally. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Rana. And so participants who are listening to us, so if you would like to know more about these fellowships or the various other programs with ISQA, ASQA, you could get in touch with Dr. Rana. Dr. Umashankar also can guide you since he's a ISQA fellow. And there are various accreditation programs by Quality and Accreditation Institute. For that, you can specifically get in touch with Dr. Rana. Thank you very much. Next up, we'll have